We've got a big weekend.
TMD.
Got to make sure you got your ducks in a row.
Weekend preview.
Can't ask for much more than that.
For over 2 decades, NASCAR has made its way to Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and this weekend will be no different.
Bill Elliott has had the fastest race car all afternoon, but it just hasn't worked out to be up front when he needed to be. Well, he's in second place right now, but Ryan Newman has the top spot and holding it. Coming to the white flag.
Off turn number 4 and down to the line, white flag. 1 lap to go for the leader, Ryan Newman, and the rest of the field as Bill Elliott's done everything he can to run him down. Has he got enough time left to do it? They go to 1.
And does Newman have enough fuel for the final time? They come into turn 1. Ryan Newman down to the inside of the racetrack. Elliott taking a higher line off the turn, shutting it down by about a car length, but Ryan Newman leads to the backstretch for the final time.
After 2 second-place finishes, Ryan Newman had enough of that. He wants first. Into turn 3. Again, working the bottom of the racetrack. Elliott closes in, but it's not going to be enough. Ryan Newman leads off turn 4.
He'll go down in the books as the golden boy of 2003. Ryan Newman comes to the line, winning his 8th Winston Cup race of the season. In 2001, he came here to Kansas Speedway, finished second. Last year he came here, he finished second. Finally, this year, he scores the win. At the Banquet 400, Bill Elliott comes in second. Jeremy Mayfield third. Tony Stewart fourth. And Jeff Gordon is fifth.
Well, let's go down to Gatorade Victory Lane.
Well, I'll tell you what, we said that in Dover we're going to rename this to Ryan Newman Victory Lane from Gatorade Victory Lane. Welcome back, buddy. I tell you what, this car didn't look like it was quite that stout early on. What did you and Matt change on the car all day?
Well, it was good when we were out front, in the first part of the race, but we got back there caught with the guys racing side by side, and I just couldn't go anywhere, and finally got some track position there when we stayed out. Luckily, the cautions worked our way, and I got to thank everybody from Alltel and Dodge for making this happen. The guys did a great job.
That's how it sounded October 5th, 2003. Steve Parker, Barney Hall, yours truly, Joe Moore, and Winston Kelly with the call of Ryan Newman winning the Banquet 400. Ryan was recently added to NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers list, so we figured we'd flash back to one of his 18 NASCAR Cup Series wins. He beat a NASCAR Hall of Famer that day. Ryan also won in a Dodge. That was Dodge's first of 2 Kansas wins and one of Roger Penske's 6 wins at Kansas Speedway. The Kansas Party gets started tomorrow afternoon with the ARCA Menard Series. The Dawn 150 will be race 4 of the season. 28 cars on the entry list. Frankie Muniz is your points leader coming in. The Dawn 150, 100 laps, 150 miles. FS1 will be your destination tomorrow. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour is back on track tomorrow evening. It will be the opening night at the quarter-mile Monadnock Speedway in Winchester, New Hampshire. The duel at the Dog 200 will also kick off a 3-race Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup Swing, which offers drivers and teams bonus dollars not typically available during regular NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour events. The amount of potential winnings up for grabs in the bonus program for competitors totals $15,700. Teams will accumulate points during each of the 3 events at Monadnock, Lee USA Speedway, and Claremont Motorsports Park. Ron Silk and Austin Beers are tied for the points lead with Justin Bonsignor 1 point back. The duel at the Dog at Monadnock, 200 laps. Flow Racing, your destination, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch it on Flow. Tomorrow night's nightcap will be the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They're fresh off a 2-week break. ThorSport Racing's Ty Majeski is your points leader over Zane Smith and Ben Rhodes. Ty is ready to roll.
Well, Kansas was a great track for us. We really, sort of brought an experimental setup there in the spring. Felt like we hit on something and came back in the fall and sort of over-adjusted on that setup. We basically took that same truck and refined that setup for a second time and brought that to Homestead and won at Homestead. So now we're basically going to take just that Homestead setup and truck, which originated as a Kansas setup, back to Kansas here in the spring. Feel confident about it. I think regardless, we're going to have a real good truck and a real solid day out in Kansas.
It'll be a Saturday night race, and Grant Enfinger gave his thoughts about how the trucks will compete under the lights in Kansas.
Should be more grip for nighttime races, but yeah, truck races. A lot of it is about restarts. It's about getting a really good start, and it's still important here at Kansas. But you can pass guys, so that's what we like as drivers. I know the fans like being able to see guys, make their way from the back to the front. So it's a little bit easier to do it here than some of the mile and a halves we go to, and so I'm even more excited about it because of that.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Heart of America 200, 134 laps, 201 miles, stage breaks at laps 30 and 60. FS1 will be your destination here on the channel tomorrow. Our broadcasting day will kick off with Pat Patterson on the front stretch. You'll have Press Pass with Brad Gilly and Jeff Gluck at 11. Loose Ends at 2 Eastern. Dialed In with Claire B. Lang at 4 Eastern. Motor Racing Network will have coverage of practice and qualifying at 5. Dialed In with Claire B. Lang back at 7. And the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Heart of America 200 at 7:30. Once the checkered flag flies, Claire B. back in with Dialed In until midnight in the East. On Sunday, it'll be the Advent Health 400 for the NASCAR Cup Series. Both of last year's Kansas races were won by the 45 car at 2311 Racing. Kurt Busch won this race a year ago. Bubba Wallace won the fall Kansas race in the 45. Now it's Tyler Reddick that will be at the controls of that car this time through.
The pressure is definitely on this week for myself. Bubba's all amped up, ready to go. He's in the right mindset, Corey. I'm sure you can imagine. You know him well. Me, I've got all the pressure on. I've got to figure out the car and make some good laps in the sim and make sure when we get there we're up to par, because that dang 45 car has won the last 2 races there. So I got to get the job done.
Toyota did sweep Kansas in 2022, and according to Christopher Bell of Joe Gibbs Racing, he doesn't believe there's any reason to doubt it could be 3 in a row on Sunday.
Yeah, the mile and a half have been strong for the Toyota group since the next gen era. So it's definitely one that we expect to run well at. And Kansas is one of my, or probably my favorite mile and a half as a driver too. So you can really move around and, run high, run low, wherever your car's working, wherever you can get clean air. So definitely expecting and hoping for a good showing this weekend. And, we're carrying the Sirius XM colors, and we haven't got them in Victory Lane yet, so maybe this weekend's the weekend.
Fly them well, young man. It's been a tough year for A.J. Allmendinger in 2023. He finished 6th in the Daytona 500, but it's been slim pickings ever since. A.J. says a driver has options at Kansas this weekend.
A place like Kansas, it's kind of migrated to the wall. I feel like with this car, you don't have to be maybe just running the fence. I'm always trying to learn, especially trying to run the top, just learn how to do it better and more consistent. Anything that I can learn so that when we fire off in practice, it doesn't take me 5 or 10 laps to kind of get the rhythm of the racetrack with this car. I can try to do it as quick as possible so I can, get that feedback, because in 15 minutes, you're probably only going to run at max 20, 25 laps. You got to be up to speed as quick as possible.
Josh Berry back in the Hendrick Motorsports 48 car for the injured Alex Bowman on Sunday. He thinks Kansas is going to be a challenge simply because of his inexperience at the racetrack.
I feel like this weekend is going to be a pretty big challenge, with everything we've said with the next gen and racing at the Cup level. I really haven't raced at Kansas very much at all. We've been trying to do some little bit extra preparation in the simulator, and like I said, all the stuff we do every week to be prepared for that. But, I anticipate it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge for me than what, somewhere like Dover is, that I've been several times and had some success. So we're just going to work through it. Hendrick Motorsports has been really strong this year, and I expect we'll have a really good car as well.
Randall Burnett is Kyle Busch's crew chief. They are one of many teams looking forward to getting back to America's Heartland this weekend.
Honestly, I'm really looking forward to going to Kansas. It's one of my favorite places to go. It's a great mile and a half track. And we had a lot of speed in the 8 car there both times there last year. I think the second time we were leading the first stage and had a right rear tire go down on us and knock us out of the race. But we had super fast all weekend long, and Kyle was pretty fast both races there last year. So more of a traditional mile and a half, kind of get back to some of that and where we've been really good here, the last part of the last year and the first part of this year. So really looking forward to Kansas City, maybe get a little barbecue while we're there and some good eats.
The weather conditions will play a factor this weekend. Here's Denny Hamlin's crew chief, Chris Gabehart, with the forecast.
This one's going to be a hot one. The weather's shaping up to be hot. It's going to be a day race and be hot and slick. They're going to end up riding around right at the fence, and it's going to be a matter of who can make mistakes and who can capitalize on them once that happens. So Kansas produces great racing, and I assume this one will be no different.
Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers are looking for their first win of 2023. They have 2 Kansas wins together. Kevin has a total of 3. Rodney hopes to continue Kansas successes on Sunday.
The first race, we were just kind of decent and rode around there all day. And then the second race, I felt like we had the best car, passing people like it was sitting, like they were sitting still, and was trying to pass for third and crashed there at the beginning of the race and didn't get to show what we had. But from what we did see out of those first 30 laps, we had a really, really good car. So hopefully we can be just as competitive this time and not get any damage and hang in there all day and finish it out.
Bubba Wallace looking for another Kansas win this season. His crew chief is Booty Barker. Booty, what's the key to getting Bubba back to victory lane?
Whoever can keep side light in the car the longest, I mean, you have to manage it. Bubba does great with that. I mean, it's a lot of factors. You got to be strong. Got to have great engine, great aero, great pit execution, good chassis. Driver's got to understand what he's doing. I mean, it's just, you got to have it all. So hopefully we do.
At 5 Eastern Time tomorrow evening, the garage will be broken up into groups, and each group will get 20 minutes of practice before qualifying for the Advent Health 400. Here's how those groups break down.
36 cars on the entry list in Group A. Josh Bilicki, Noah Gregson, J.J. Yaley, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, Todd Gilliland, Joey Logano, A.J. Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Josh Berry, Brad Keselowski, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, and Martin Truex Jr., last week's Stover winner. Ty Dillon leads Group B with Brennan Poole, Austin Dillon, Eric Almirola, Harrison Burton, Justin Haley, Ryan Preece, Kyle Larson, Austin Cindric, Corey LaJoie, Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, Kevin Harvick, Chris Buescher, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, and the point leader, Ross Chastain.
The Advent Health 400 at Kansas Speedway, 267 laps, 400.5 miles. Stage breaks at laps 80 and 165. You can catch it on FS1. Here's our broadcasting schedule for Sunday. As usual, Pat Patterson gets us going with the front stretch, 7 a.m. Eastern. It'll be loose ends at 11 a.m. in the East, followed by Fantasy Racing Preview with Pistol Pete at 1 Eastern. Motor Racing Network will be on the air with NASCAR Live Race Day and the Advent Health 400 at 2. Then it'll be the SiriusXM NASCAR Radio Post-Race Show. That'll go until 8:30. And Claire B. Lang and Dialed In will take you until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Here are your driver to crew chatter channels for the Advent Health 400. Chase Elliott and his team can be heard on Sirius 136, XM 380, online at 980. Joey Logano can be heard on Sirius 137, XM 381, streaming on 981. And Bubba Wallace and his team can be heard on Sirius 138, XM 382, streaming on 982. Those channels will go live at 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday.